Another fucking breakfast spot in Hickory. Cool. Yeah, great. We got like 9 of those things, and I've never eaten any of them. Who pays for breakfast? Unless you're going to Waffle House.
We should not talk about breakfast places in Hickory.
You know what really makes us mad? Is wasting money on CDs with only 1 or 2 good songs.
Yeah. Tell them about punk.
What's up, posers? Welcome to Punk Lotto Pod. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley.
I'm your other co-host, Dylan Hensley.
And this is the show where we choose one year at random and select one punk, hardcore, emo, or punk-adjacent year. Wait, what? Let's start that over again. And this is the show where we choose one year at random and select one punk, hardcore, emo, or punk-adjacent album from that year to discuss. This week, we're talking about the year 1996. And if you head over to patreon.com/punklautopod for $1, you get access to all of our weekly bonus audio, where last week we did a chart dive on the year 1996. For this chart dive, we did an overall, because we previously covered the punk charts before, and we actually did a modern rock charts for 96 as well. So we realized we hadn't done an overall, so we did all the other stuff that is non-punk. And Dylan, what's the consensus that we came to on 96?
It's not great. And frankly, the punk stuff is the best stuff. Yeah, there was a couple. I mean, metal and hip hop, I feel like we kind of said this. Those are genres that kind of always have their good stuff every year. I guess I couldn't judge how deep those, like with punk, we'll be like, yeah, there's always good stuff, but it doesn't go very deep. So it's very possible that 96 is not great for those genres either in terms of depth. I don't know. It just looked like 96 is kind of trying everything and not really being all that successful at anything.
Yeah. We talked about it a bit, and 96 seems like it doesn't know what its identity is, and it's starting to put in really weird stuff, like Tibetan throat singing, is one example. There was like an X-Files compilation, not a soundtrack. It had like bands on it. It was weird. I don't know. It's a strange year. And yeah, I think the punk stuff is probably the most consistently good of the genres that year. So head over to Patreon. You can also sign up at the $10 tier for a one-time $10 donation. You get to choose the album we devote an entire episode to. So we've got a couple of those in the chamber. I need to speak with them to see when they would like those to go up. So be on the lookout for that. And we are fast approaching our 300th episode. We've got our gimmick in mind. We know what we're doing. That's right. It's a gimmick for 300. We wouldn't just do a regular one. What's the point of an anniversary? So keep on the lookout for that. And yeah, let's get into it. So the year is 1996 that we are talking about today. And as usual, we like to go to rateyourmusic.com/punklautopod. No, wait. God damn it. I cannot talk today. As usual, we go to rateyourmusic.com and go to the charts section, put in the year, and then sort it by popularity.
You're going to leave this part in. You're probably going to edit out a lot of those mistakes, but nearing 300, and Justin has made like 2 or 3 huge mistakes in describing the premise of the show and listing the websites that we use as a resource. So this is a great operation, which you should definitely consider giving your money to. I'm going to wrap this into a Patreon plug. It gets even better if you if you subscribe.
I don't know what's going on with me today. I feel like it took me forever to get started on the Patreon episode too. I don't know. We didn't even start that much earlier than we normally do. Like maybe like 20 minutes earlier, but somehow that was too.
I was like, we need to start early today. I'm on a time crunch, and then I'm like, I'm online. It's like 10 o'clock. It's like this is basically when we start normally.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a mess today. I don't know. World-class operation here at Punk Lotto Pod. And like I did the order backwards too. Like I did the whole thing backwards. Like we don't even start with charts anymore. We start with what else, what were you considering from 1996 for us to talk about? So what do you want to do first?
Should we start there? Let's start there.
Let's start there. All right. 96. I gave you the year 96. It was your turn to choose. What else were you considering for us to talk about?
So some years, I think when we've kind of settled into like picking 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's usually like that's kind of what I look for. I try to find 4 records that I can pitch you. Some years it's like, damn, I could just keep going, and it'll be like 7, 8 records. I'm like, man, there's so much I could choose from. I was like, I really don't know which direction to go. I had 3 that I sent you for 96. It's how not that deep or interesting 96 is. I mean, and it's not that there's not great stuff. There is great stuff, and we'll hit some of that stuff on the chart section. But like, there was just so little that I really wanted to do for the show, and part of it was I wasn't set on a direction to go. Like, I didn't have a clear, I want to talk about something new to me, or I want to talk about something like an old favorite. I didn't have like a really clear, weird vibe either. And probably the most, I guess we'll start with the most unusual and unlikely choice for me to have considered, but I did screenshot this and send it to you. Sublime's self-titled record, 96.
You sent it to me with the comment that, is it too close to Skagus to do the Sublime record? And my first thought was, you picked a Sublime record? Like, that's so out of left field for you.
Yeah, that was the weirdest consideration. And it was just like, well, part of it was looking at the charts and I'm like, well, there's stuff we've covered. I feel like there's records by bands that we've talked about. It's like there's like a Bad Religion record, or like there's that Failure record. It's like we just talked about Failure. It's like we've done an At the Drive-In record. It just I at least wanted to maybe try to cover something that was something we haven't talked about on the show. So it didn't have a lot to choose from. So and the Sublime one jumped out at me. I just kind of like laughed as soon as I saw it. I was like, no, but really. So I was like, maybe we should do a Sublime record. I don't know which one is the one to do. I think maybe that is the one to do.
So it's funny, you were like, is it too close to Skagus? We're recording this August 1st.
Yeah.
So like it would have been perfectly in line with Skagus. We just hadn't like planned to do it yet because I hadn't actually looked at the calendar to realize, oh shit, episodes are going to start coming out in August. So we should probably actually get our theme for the month over. Fortunately, like it's a long August. I think it's like an extra week in it or something like that. But so we'll do a Skagus this month.
It's a 4 Thursday month.
Yeah.
It's not an extra week month. That's right. Like October. It's not an extra paycheck month.
God, I would love an extra paycheck right now.
I was hoping it was, because one of my paychecks in July was horrible because of the vacation.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, hook. when I saw the check go in.
Ooh. We're gonna figure out how to make this week work.
But I ruled it out because I kind of figured I wouldn't like it that much. That was probably like the main reason. And also I was like, I don't want to do a prequel Skagus. I don't want to do a 4-week Skagus. No. We have our system of like, two-tone, third way. We have that in place. And I was just like, where would Sublime really fall in there? Maybe we'll pick a Sublime record.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year, the rotation we did last year, I don't remember how we did it. It was like one of us picked the two-tone record, the other one picked the third wave record, and then did we consensus the fourth? I don't remember exactly how we did that one, but I think we're going to flip-flop who chooses what. And if I remember correctly, you chose the 90s record last year, I want to say. So it'll be my turn to pick. So maybe I'll be like, Sublime. No, I won't pick Sublime. I don't want to listen to Sublime. I don't like them. I also barely consider them ska. I know they're right. Kind of. I consider them more reggae than I do ska. But
yeah, I did listen to some of it this week because I had so few picks. I tried to listen to all of them, or at least try to sample all of them. I did put this record on, and it was like the first song. I was like, I'm so glad I didn't pick this. I'm just like, it's like 4 minutes long and it's boring. He mentions his fucking dog. I mean, it's every Sublime song is, I smoke weed, I have a dog. People.
I didn't realize that was a common theme through all of his music.
He talks about that dog a lot. What I Got's the second song. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Forgettable. I mean, not forgettable. One of the more memorable Sublime songs. But like, whatever. It's like one of those songs that I don't love, but I don't mind if I hear it on the radio. Then Wrong Way, which is like, do you remember? It was pretty recently. Everyone on TikTok like trying to analyze the lyrics of Wrong Way. Like, what's it about? What is he saying? Because it's a song about having sex with a teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, a teenage sex worker. And I'm like, why are you guys... I was listening to this record. I was like, why are you guys trying to, like, moralize the lyrics of Sublime songs? Like, have you maybe not considered that they're just not good people? Like, they're just Long Beach stoner guys who probably have done some shady things.
But also, like, to me, that song also feels like a very fictional story anyway. Like, it doesn't seem like... I don't think this story happened. I don't think this is real.
I don't think it's even a real based on anything that really happened. I mean, it's almost like... It's also that kind of, like, moral panic thing that, like, Zoomers do with stuff where they don't understand that, like, characters can have, like, bad morals. It's like, have you guys... You're the kind of people that don't understand the movie Taxi Driver, right?
They're the generation that doesn't want sex in movies anymore either. So.
Yeah. Which Century is on this record too. That's probably the one to do if there's a Sublime record to do. I don't like it. Not for me. I'm glad I didn't pick it and I did not finish the record. I did consider I was pretty close on this one. Petitioning the Empty Sky by Converge, as we had like just said the week before on Patreon, we haven't done a Converge record on the show. I'm like, that would be one to do. I mean, there's at least 2 Converge records I feel like that are important. It's like this and Jane Doe, I think, are the ones to talk about. And I love Petitioning the Empty Sky. I think it's a killer fucking record. I re-listened to it and I'm just like, damn, like beginning to end, this is so gnarly. It has so many killer, memorable riffs. Jake sounds fucked up. Like it's fun and cool and weird. Really just such a cool direction to take hardcore in. And you realize, with time, it sounds really groundbreaking. And you realize with time, it's like, oh, they're doing Rorschach. They're doing Starkweather. They're doing Today Is the Day. Like, I've picked up on like their influences, and their influences are way more obvious now. But I think that they still managed to take, and like Slayer, and I feel like they managed to take those influences. And even though like at this point it's still pretty clear where those influences are coming from once you know them, they still take them and they elevate them into something else. And I think they made a record that is more than the sum of its parts. And then of course Converge turns into, totally their own thing. And this is that step towards that, but it's a great record. I love it. I get why it's not people's favorite. And I mean, when you consider, what comes after it, like what they ultimately become known for.
It's not my favorite. So I think it would have actually produced a pretty interesting conversation. I think it's good, but it's not, there's like a line, and the line to me is Jane Doe and Beyond is what I really like out of Converge, and everything before that, I just like, I'm kind of whatever on. Like, I don't love it. Some stuff pretty bad, but for the most part, it's just, I have a really hard time connecting with any of the pre-Jane Doe material. And in all reality, I'm not even the biggest Jane Doe fan. I definitely like records that came out after Jane Doe way more than Jane Doe itself, but there's very clearly like a direction that shifted after once you hit Jane Doe.
And then my only other consideration is the record that we're talking about, so we can look at what else came out in 96.
Yeah, so as usual, if you look at Rate Your Music, the number one records are always things we go, what? Why? But
yeah. Pinkerton by Weezer.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the most overrated records of all time. Sure. And that was a hot take. I know people are like, Pinkerton's their best record, and I just don't like it. It's not. I don't think it's very good. Some stuff, we kind of like hit a lot of this kind of stuff when we were talking about the charts, so I kind of want to look at some stuff that we did not mention. Texas Is the Reason, Do You Know Who You Are? Absolutely amazing emo record, one of the most important emo records of this time period. Still to this day considered like a classic record. I don't know how much influence is still being taken from that in emo today. It seems like they're pretty much all just taking from Kinsella now. Like it's shocking, like how American football, Captain Jazz, like is still the most influential emo band of all time because all of the modern ones are still doing it. 2 revivals later, and they're all still doing Kinsella worship. I don't get it, but
yeah, if there was one band that I think should be the template for a new wave of emo, is Texas Is the Reason.
Oh yeah.
If someone said, "Hey Dylan, you want to start an emo project?" I would say, "Are we doing Texas Is the Reason?" If not, I'm not in. Throw in a little Synthfield. You got me. I fucking love this record. It's so good. It's so catchy. The like bitterest little pissy boy lyrics. It's just like so good.
Other standouts to me, the Team Dresch record, Captain My Captain's, really good album. I quite enjoy Team Dresch. Really fun, like queercore kind of, Riot Girl as well. Just an excellent band. They made 2 albums and they're 2 great albums, and they're back and touring again, which is wild. There's Bad Religion, The Gray Race, which is like not high up there on the power rankings of Bad Religion, according to most fans. It's still considered good because I think they're one of those bands that like has no like truly bad records, except for maybe Into the Unknown. Because even like their weakest later albums, it's like still just it's doing the thing that Bad Religion does. So like there are better ones, but like I don't know, even their worst records are still like, hey, still sounds like Bad Religion, right?
Gray Race is the first one without Brett.
Mm.
So there's definitely a decline in quality because it's just kind of on everybody else.
Jimmy Eat World Static Prevails. No, it's not the first one. There's one prior to this. This is like the first major label record that they did, and still like not the one. It's like it's getting there. Clarity is where it really kind of all clicks together finally. But it's a solid record too. I have listened to this one before, and I was like, this is actually a really good record. Really fun. The other singer sings a lot more on it than James does. Another great emo classic, Christie Front Drive, their self-titled album. This one is a little bit more in the like minerally, twinkly style of emo, but I still really like this album. It's not one that I find boring or anything like that. And it's one of those, the members of this band have just like gone on to do so many other projects. I think they have like some of them have like a new band already that's like putting out something this year. Very prolific group of people, despite like never really bringing this band back. It's kind of a like they left it in the past and like left it alone, which is I always find interesting when a band does that.
96 is a good year for emo. We've got Boys Life record. We've got, let's see, Building by Synthfield.
Yeah, my favorite Synthfield album.
We've got a Promise Ring record. 30 Degrees Everywhere. What else? I want to say, is there a Knapsack record? Maybe not. There's Age of Octane by Braid.
Right.
Came out in 96 as well.
There's a Jeremy Enig. I never knew how to pronounce that guy's name.
Jeremy Enoch.
Sunny Day Real Estate lead singer solo record.
Yeah, doing his art pop chamber.
Yeah, a little more chambery, baroque-y,
stuff.
but it's definitely like of interest to emos though. Yeah, I'd say it's also a good year. It's a big year for ska as well. We're right here before the Boss Tones hit the mainstream radio, but we also have albums from Less Than Jake and the Suicide Machines and Real Big Fish. Like a lot of the big names of third wave ska that like continue being big names in third wave ska to this day. Like there's Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake are still like a band today.
Yeah,
cranking them out. That third wave has probably a higher percentage of like bands that stuck around for a really long time. Ska in general, I think actually, if you think about it, has a really good track record when it comes to like just staying together through thick and thin.
I find it interesting that you said 96 is a good year for ska and then list the not good ska records from
okay.
96.
Good maybe is the wrong word. Big is the better word, I guess. That's worth mentioning there, but because it's a big year.
Upbeats and Beatdowns by Fire and Frenzy is 96. Green Album by Skankin' Pickle is 96. Jumps on Parade by MU330 is 96. Those would be the ones I would say are good. There's the Aquabats.
Yeah, I'm torn on that band now.
Sad trombone. Mhm.
Yeah.
But it has, its return. It's got Play-Doh, Martian Girl, Idiot Box. It's the first one. It's not Fury.
Right. Fury's definitely the better of the first two records, but yeah. I guess we could mention the albums that we have previously covered on the show. So we go back to episode 250. We did the Punk compilation, the Tell 'em About Punk.
Oh, yeah. That was 96.
Yeah, that was 1996. We did an episode 222. We did Static Prevails, which my brain completely forgot that we covered that album. We did that with the Darling Fire. How did I forget we did that record? That is wild.
I don't know, because you were listing things that I was like, hey, we definitely talked about this before, but whatever. New episode. Can't guarantee that people have listened to us talk about it before.
Right. Episode 190, Chavez, Ride the Fader. We did that with Extra Arms, Ryan Allen there. Episode 156, we did Social Distortions with White Light, White Heat, White Trash with John from Timeshares. Episode 143, we did the Crown Hate Ruins Until the Eagle Grins. That was, I believe, your selection for that year. We did Bikini Kill's Reject All American with the band Susie True. And we did Refused's Songs to Fan the Flames Discontent with Faye, Susan Plant there. And the Aquabats at episode 23, we did Return to the Aquabats with Darkest Hours, the Misanthrope.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I noticed, I was like, okay, you and I have only chosen, this is only the second time we've chose the album that we're talking about for 96. The others were all guests. One was the comp, and then one was our old random method. So weirdly, we've not selected that much from this year ourselves, and yet you still were like, there's not much I want to talk about.
It's not to say that there's not stuff. It was just in the moment I was like, I don't know what I want to pick. I'm just not feeling the stuff. I'd probably in the future would probably just do that Texas Is the Reason record. That seems like the most obvious choice, or the Synthfield record, or
Well, the record you did select for us to talk about is Everything Sucks by the Descendents. And the Descendents are from Manhattan Beach, California, formed in 1977. This album was released September 24th, 1996 on Epitaph Records. This is the band's fifth full-length album, and the personnel on this record is Carl Alvarez on bass, Bill Stevenson on drums, Stephen Egerton on guitar, and Milo Ackerman on vocals. And the album was produced by Bill Stevenson and Stephen Egerton. Egerton or Egerton? Is it a hard G or a soft G? Is it a GIF or GIF situation? I don't know.
I always thought it was Egerton.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. But I fluctuate between which one I say. It's a Menzingers, Mengingers situation all over again. And this record does feature a few guests on it as well. We have Tony Lombardo, a previous bass player of the Descendents, playing on the song Doghouse, as well as writing credits for the song Eunuch Boy. We have Frank Navetta, who is a guitarist of the Descendents, plays guitar on Doghouse and the song Eunuch Boy. So they both those songs they just came back for. And then we have Chad Price, the singer of All at this time, doing backing vocals on this record. So it's a family affair here with this record. It's all Descendents all the time, even producers on this record. So
let's bring back these old guys to do the 2 worst songs on the record.
Yeah. Some don't think those are hot takes, but those are definitely my least favorite songs on the album. But
Yeah.
So what made you choose this one to talk about?
You did.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing that we do. We send each other our options every week, and then we kind of like talk through it to see like, all right, where are we going to land with this? And I didn't want to do that Sublime record, so I was like deflecting to the the other records here. And I was like, maybe we should give our listeners something to make up for the He Is Legend record we did last week that they don't know what we're even talking about or what that band even is.
I feel like it's fun. It's so funny how much we like that He Is Legend record, and we're like so apologetic about it. And I don't even think it's like that dubious. The reputation of that band, so unclear.
Yeah. Well, honestly though, like most of the feedback that we gotten for that episode was like, who is this?
Yeah.
Which is fair. I think that's a fair response because they weren't even like that big for the time. But yeah, it is funny. We're always like, sorry, everybody. Sorry about that.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to make you listen to this. I don't know why I like it. I don't know.
It's like we're giving you the wild card, draw 4 in Uno. So sorry about this.
That's the only card I could play. I had to. As to why I was considering it,
sure,
it's a big record. I mean, it's a big deal of a record. It's the comeback, so to speak. It has an iconic album cover. It's that run of the band that I think that this record is probably more responsible for them being a household name than their original run. I think them coming back at the right time has made them required listening for pop punk kids. So I knew it. I'd heard the record. I know their 2004 record too. Don't think I listened to Hypercaphium Spasm 8, but I did listen to Ninth and Walnut. So I have heard a substantial amount of the Descendents discography. It's a band that felt like a known quantity to me. Certainly it's a very recognizable name. I think it's something that's like, if we're looking at this from like a numbers perspective of like, let's pick a record that people are going to want to hear us talk about, I think this is pretty far up there. It's a name that's going to grab people. And I thought it would be an interesting record to listen to in terms of, I guess, legacy. I mean, Descendents being a legacy band at this point, that I feel like I wouldn't even feel like I really needed to be that invested in them or that familiar with their discography to be able to talk about them, because they're just such a big, important band. So I figured there's a lot to talk about, and I'm due for, I don't know, I guess probably due for a reevaluation of late period Descendents. That was also kind of a consideration too. I was like, I kind of have my opinion of those records, but it's an opinion that I formed 10 years ago, probably more than that. It's an opinion that was formed in college. Yeah, I don't know. Just figured it would be a good conversation. And it's a band we haven't done. We've never done a Descendents record.
Yeah,
it's a huge band that we haven't done. We've done an all record.
Yeah, we've done an all record. We've talked about the Descendents, and I think we talked about them in general on that episode, just kind of giving our like feelings on the band at the time. And we've talked about them maybe in some like chart dives and stuff like that, but not devoted an entire episode to the Descendents directly. I was trying to think of like what my history with this band is, and it kind of goes back to college when I was like really getting into all of the like classic hardcore and punk records like the 70s and 80s. So really getting into all those bands and learning as much as I could about them at the time. And Descendents were a band that I enjoyed the stuff that I had downloaded, and then I eventually like got around to downloading the first 2 records, and then those kind of like became the only ones by the band that I listened to, like just the first 2 albums. Really I didn't really get into the other stuff until way later. Like I feel like I didn't even listen to All until the album All until, I don't know. It was before we started this show, but like it wasn't that much before then. And I'd heard Cool to Be You and Everything Sucks. Yeah. those records just never like clicked and became like my records though from this band. Like it was I strictly just listened to the first two for a long time. And they're an interesting band in the sense that like they have not a perfect discography. And even those first two records, like they're not perfect records. I actually have lots of problems with both those records and songs on them. They're a band whose like lyrics have like a lot of lyrics and a lot of different songs have aged very poorly. Even on this record, there's some rough lyrics. It's just like, man, this band just cannot get through without like something that makes you go ugh, a little bit, you know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the type of lyrics that they are writing. They're very much like, a lot of times there are these like lovesick lyrics or like breakup lyrics or, you know, unrequited love type lyric stuff. So that can get you into some like sticky, you know, lyrical content. At the time, I don't think it was considered especially out there though. Like, I don't think people were like, that's not cool, dude, in like 1986, you know. It's just with the passage of time, people being like, that's not cool, right? Like, you know, reflectively looking back on that stuff. So there's always that little bit going on with them. And so like I've always had a hard time being like, do I love the Descendents? I certainly love a lot of the Descendents discography and their music, but they don't have like a perfect record for me. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Descendents?
My history, it goes alongside yours to a point. We never, early on, we didn't get into, like, when I was a teenager, we didn't get deep into the Descendents. We downloaded random stuff. We heard some of the stuff that would have heard, maybe. I guess I remember American.
Yeah, that was on a Warped Tour comp.
Yeah, that was on a Warped Tour comp. So I had just this like kind of a broad exposure to Descendants across their discography up to that point as a teenager that just, I don't remember the first time I listened to a full Descendants record. I still have it somewhere. It's probably in my sentimental box of shirts that I don't wear anymore in our storage unit. But I have a Descendants shirt. I want to say it's the Everything Sucks album cover shirt, which I think I got on clearance at Hot Topic in college. And it was like kind of too small then. And I think I fell out of wearing it regularly pretty quickly. And I don't know why.
Because the white shirt.
Because it's a white shirt. Well, still have white shirts. I keep buying white shirts. I don't know why. I know that they don't hold up. But it was funny because I remember I had that shirt at the little private Christian college that I went to. And there was a girl on the women's soccer team who wore a Descendants shirt all the time. I would see her wearing a Descendants shirt regularly. It was just something she wore in her normal rotation. I have no idea what her name is. I probably spoke to her once in 4 years. I'm pretty sure she was the same class as me. Maybe a year above. And this was a place where none of my friends listened to the music that I listened to.
Yeah.
Like, you would have thought that I'd be like, hey, cool shirt.
Right.
Do you like other punk bands? But that was just how cliquey the athletes were.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It was like, there's no approaching an athlete because they only hung out with the people on their team. It was just like, I'm sure she saw me wearing a Descendants shirt. She's like, I'm not talking to him. It's just funny to be like ships in the night. We could have easily both worn a Descendants shirt at the same time and just walked right past each other.
And you wouldn't have said anything to each other.
If that happened, it would have just been like a, cool shirt. Yeah, you do. But I think it came to a point where, like, going to punk shows, going to the fest, I feel like I saw Descendants shirts more often than I heard the Descendants.
There was a period there, especially around Fest, where like every band had a Descendants rip. Like that was a really popular rip for like a good 2-3 years.
It was when you've already done a Black Flag rip.
Right.
And you need to refresh your merch. Let's do a Descendants rip for Fest.
Yeah, Black Flag was the other one. Yeah.
So my my biggest exposure to Descendents honestly came after college. And I probably listened to the first 3 records while I was working at the bank scanning car loans. And I got to enjoy. I was just like, I don't think I like the Descendents as much as I thought I did. So I just kind of fell off. Just lost interest. But I mean, we've told the Descendents. Milo's here, watching all just to see Milo come sing one new Descendants song with them.
Yeah.
I've seen the Descendants at Fest.
We saw half a set
because they took 4 fucking ever to start.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with it. There was like some technical difficulties going on there because it was like gray and cold and rainy that day. It was like one of the only like cold fests we ever had, I think. It was like cold and rainy.
Bill had to get his cymbals just right.
And we only watched half the set because we wanted to go see a now canceled band. But we weren't the only ones. It was like a flood of people started walking that direction because they were hyped. They were hyped.
It was hype. Yeah. It was the first fest for them.
Yeah. It was Beach Slang. We all left Descendants to go see Beach Slang, which now you're like, Jesus Christ, really? But we didn't know at the time. We hadn't even seen them yet. And then we saw them. We're like, oh, should we? Yeah. But
there was a legitimate concern we weren't going to be able to get in.
Yeah, it was in a smaller club. And it was like they were hyped that year, and they had like a 7-inch too that was like Fest exclusive pressing, and like so everybody was trying to get that. Yeah, so it was like you got to get in there to see it. So like that was why we left, because I think otherwise we probably would have stayed the whole time. There's not a lot of other bands I think we would have left to go see instead, but just like the waiting around part was terrible. And then they did a lot of the all stuff, like the philosophical all stuff, where it's just like, God, I hate this. The worst part of the band? Oh, okay.
I feel like just drifted further and further out in terms of my orbit around Descendants as a band. But I mean, I guess I say that in doing the show and like being assigned an all record to talk about and that I liked like a lot, and listening to, newer stuff as it was coming out, like even after having the kind of just like disinterest period, there was something about them that has kept them somewhat relevant to me specifically. And I'm not sure what it is, because I feel like I have more negative things to say about the Descendants.
But they feel like more nitpicky things than like overall feelings. Because I think overall I have a very positive feeling towards this band. Really good band, classic period, very influential for punk in the 90s, pop punk in the 90s. Really amazing songs on like every single record. Like even if like I don't love the whole thing, there's something good on. I don't know about Enjoy. There might be nothing on. No, I think there's even a song on Enjoy where I'm like, I do like this song. I don't like anything else, but yeah, just something good in everything they've done. And it's like they're important in general. That and the combination of like all and the extended, family tree of Descendants. Like they reach into so many different pockets of different bands. So yeah, they're definitely, I can nitpick them because I've heard enough of it to be able to like point out the things I don't like, but still enjoy them overall.
Yeah. I feel like I have, like you said, nitpicking is the way to describe it. Because I feel like I have these very pointed, specific criticisms of Descendents and like negative experiences with the Descendents, and they feel, in being so specific, it feels like I hate them. It feels like it feels like I'm saying that I hate them, or like, oh, I don't like the Descendants. And then, like I said, like hitting enjoy as I was going through their discography and being like, do I not like the Descendants? Like, no, I just don't like that album. That's
yeah.
And I let that album color the band in a way that it shouldn't. But it's hard for me to find as many positive parallels to the negative criticisms. But it's almost like if you put the things that I like and dislike about the Descendants, or the good and bad experiences of listening to the Descendants, on a scale, the bad is like lots of little things. Like, it's broken up into all these little pieces, and it looks like a lot if you like think of it as like a quantity. But if you look at the actual mass of what's on the scale, the good is just like, it's just a big chunk. Like, this is the Descendants essence that is really good, and it outweighs all the little nitpicky little fiddly things that I don't like. So let's talk about all the shit on this record. Let's just carry on the tradition of only saying bad things about a band we like, ostensibly.
Well, let's do a quick little rundown of the Descendants' history. I'll try and make it as brief as possible because there's actually a lot to it. The band initially formed as an acoustic two-piece by Frank Nevada and David Nolte. They brought in Bill Stevenson to play as their drummer, and they originally like a garagey, like surf rock band. When they bring Milo into the band as a vocalist, that's when they go, okay, let's get into punk, because punk was blowing up at the time. So they shifted and became a punk band and became a pretty big part of the California hardcore scene. They released their debut album, 1982, Milo Goes to College. Prior to that, there's the Fat EP, which is on their very first thing they put out, which put them on the map. And they really stood apart from a lot of their peers by mixing melodicism with like hardcore punk. Definitely one of the poppier punk hardcore bands of the Southern California scene at the time. Due to Milo actually going to college, Bill Stevenson also had joined the band Black Flag at the time. They wind up only playing kind of sporadically and essentially going on her hiatus. And they don't record another album again until 1985, I Don't Want to Grow Up. They followed that with Enjoy in 1986. And then after that, we have the introduction of Stephen Egerton and Carl Alvarez to the band. They were replacing Ray Cooper and Doug Carrion. Doug Carrion, famously the vocalist of Dag Nasty after Dave Smalley leaves. And they themselves were actually replacing Tony Lombardo and Frank Nevada, who had also left the band. So this lineup of the band recorded their album All in 1987. And then Milo would leave again to go focus on, I think this is when he like was more starting his career. I think he'd already finished college at this point. But so the rest of the band's like, well, we're just going to stay together and still make music. And they started playing under the name All. And they released like 8 albums between Descendants records, which is a lot, and had 3 vocalists in that time period as well, including Dave Smalley. And so in 1995, Milo has expressed a desire to return to recording and performing. And so the band decided, all right, well, we want to keep All as it is. You know, they had just done Breaking Things and Pummel with Chad Price on vocals. And so they're like, okay, we'll keep All its own thing. You know, we're not going to kick Chad out. We're going to keep him in the band. So we'll just be the Descendants now. And at the same time, All had released Pummel on Interscope Records in 1995. And the band was like really unhappy with that situation. They did not like their experience on the major. And so they signed with Epitaph Records with the Descendants. So they both bands signed with Epitaph at the same time. At the time, there was a rumor that Epitaph would only sign All if the Descendants signed too. But they've all said, no, that's not true. The label said that's not true. The band said that's not true. They signed with Epitaph because they liked that Epitaph would just let them do a record whenever they wanted, because All was very prolific. And so they would just go put out a record. And they had just been on a major who can like, no, you need to give us a record by this point, you know? So, and the Descendants coming back was like just an added bonus. And so, yeah, this is the first Descendants album since 1987. And yeah, it's a collaborative writing process. Everyone kind of writes their own thing. Every member of the band writes multiple songs on here. I actually counted them up. It's like Stefan does 3 songs. Carl writes 6. Bill writes 5. Milo writes 4. And then you also have Tony and Frank doing songs on here too. So it's just like a very whoever has songs, bring them to the band type deal. And yeah, I think it's really interesting that this band's like most iconic lineup is the like Stefan, Carl, Bill, and Milo. And that lineup doesn't start until their 4th LP, which is very wild. That All is the record that starts that version of the band. And I guess the big thing is this the definitive Descendents record?
No. I do think that Milo Goes to College is the definitive Descendents record. I think it's the one that the majority of people have heard. If you have only heard one Descendents record, it's most likely Milo Goes to College. I mean, if you just look at Rate Your Music, Milo Goes to College has over 10,000 ratings, and Everything Sucks has like 2,000. Nothing else by them comes close to the number of ratings as Milo Goes to College. I think there's a lot of factors there, but I think it's safe to say that that's the one. That's the definitive Descendents record. If there's a second most definitive, it's Everything Sucks.
Yeah.
It is next in line. I mean, it's just got that artwork that helps. It's got the Milo. Is the little guy called Milo?
It is Milo, right?
Isn't it? It's just a drawing of Milo, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I would say Milo Goes to College is the definitive record, but Everything Sucks is very close because, like I said, them coming back to being Descendants at the time that they did, it was the perfect timing to do it. Like, it's a post Green Day world for them to come back and be like, oh well, we're like, we're the originators of pop punk. Like,
I mean, they're moles, but
well, yeah, you would call that punk, but just calling that punk. Like, I think the Descendants playing what they did during the time period that they did has more impact on pop punk becoming its own distinct subgenre of punk.
So what'd you think of the album? Do you remember the last time you heard it?
I don't know. I want to say I would have listened to it in college. I don't know if I revisited it at any point. See if it shows up in my Last FM anywhere. 76 Scrabbles in 2010. 5 in 2012. 2, 1, 1. Then nothing from 2015 until now. So I listened to it a ton in college, and then like 1 year in college when I got the shirt.
Well, I gotta listen to this record. I got the shirt.
Listening to it now, I think it's fine. I think it's a good record. I think it has some really good songs, some even great songs. I think that it has a couple of pretty bad songs, and then it has songs like, it has the problem that the Descendants always has, where like some of their best songs musically, melodically, are borderline incel lyrics.
Yeah.
It has I'm the One, and I'm just like, man, it's such a good song. How do you talk about it? Because the lyrics are bad.
I realized it's a lot of Bill's songs that are like that too, because that's a Bill song, and he has like a lot of songs like that. over the years is just like the hero.
I'm the one's a Carl song.
Is it a Carl song?
Carl wrote the lyrics to I'm the One.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's not what I expect. What am I thinking of? Is there another song on here that's a Bill song that I'm like, ooh? But
I think there is.
Does Bill has some songs on Breaking Things, I think, that are kind of rough. But because his was like, oh right, yeah, he does. Yeah, there's a rough Sour Grapes, I think, is a Bill song. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, it is weird. I mean, I guess that goes with the theme of the band, I guess. You know, like the loser, the nerd, the unlucky in love type, you know, personality. It's kind of the thing that like made them popular, but also it's like also they're, you know, the thing that you're like, oh, God. I try not to even think about lyrics when I listen to the Descendents, honestly. They're either like, oh, that sucks lyrically, or it's just like, it's about farting. Okay. It's like one of the bands that I'm like, God, I hate the like lyrical content of so many of their songs, but I still like the song itself. It's like, that's annoying. That's an annoying thing, because I do think I'm the One is like one of the best songs they ever wrote. Like, you know, musically, melodically, like it's just like a top tier song.
Yeah. So as often as the themes of like that loser yearning for the attention of girls comes up, have you encountered a strong criticism of Descendants? Like, I feel like people point out those lyrics, but more often than not, the people that I hear pointing out those kind of, you should just love me, I'm the one who cares for you, why do girls like guys who treat them like shit, like kind of song lyrics, I feel like the people who I have encountered who point those out are people who listen to the Descendants, are people who like the band. They're like, but there's, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm the one. Yeah. They're like, but don't sing that. But I don't feel like there's like I don't know. I don't feel like there's someone who wrote like an essay of like the Descendants are, you know, patriarchal shitheads. Fuck them. Like maybe somebody did at some point. I don't know. But I don't feel like that's a strong opinion. I feel like most people are like, they've got some bad lyrics, and maybe it's because they have songs about farts and shit.
Yeah,
that people are just like, I don't know, don't take them too seriously.
I mean, that could be the case. It's just like, yeah. I mean, I didn't investigate any of the lyrics on the 2016 record, so I don't know like how much they evolved as individuals. I imagine they probably did quite a bit, considering like they're in their like 50s now. So I really hope they're still not writing songs like that, you know. But yeah, it is. It's people who listen to the Descendants who point out those things. They're like, that's a little icky. But I don't know. They kind of, I guess there's a lot of that. Like, it was the time. I feel like a lot of that kind of lyrics were like accepted well into the 2000s to past the point where it shouldn't have been accepted lyrically. So,
I mean, granted, if we put this on a scale, I think like whining about being in the friend zone is far less egregious than all of the kill your girlfriend lyrics in emo and metalcore that would follow. So like, you know, it's the cultural echo, I guess, of like we've gotten to the point where that mentality has turned into an online subculture, you know, where the term incel comes from. You know, it's just that group of people hanging out on Reddit or whatever and just being like, women owe us sex.
For me, listening to this record, it was a record that I had listened to before. I don't remember like exactly what period in my life I would have been listening to this album and getting into it, but revisiting it, one of the biggest takeaways I had was I think this might be their most consistent album from front to back. I think, because even Miley Goes to College and I Don't Want to Grow Up, I think I Don't Want to Grow Up might be the most uneven album too. Like that, it's like it's like a My War, like A and B side thing for me personally with that record. But I think that B side is just so good that it like carries the A side. I think this one is from front to back probably the strongest batch of songs. There's weak stuff in here, of course, but I think not nearly to the degree that some of the early records do. Because I listened to a lot of Descendents this week. I did my sandwich. I listened to All. I like that record, except for all the All philosophy stuff. I hate that, and it's such a big part of that record. And it's so distracting. And I hate what the In My Van or whatever that song is. I think that's one of the worst songs the band ever wrote. It's just like, I hate. All was very inconsistent for me. I was just like, there's like a handful of really good songs.
The 10 Commandments of All, or whatever it is.
Yeah, the all, yeah. Oh, I hated that. I hate that so much. That's the stuff I like the least about All. And then I listened to Cool to Be You, which is the 2004 record. And I think that one's just kind of okay. Like I guess it's kind of consistent, but like there's not that many high points on that record. That record feels very like kind of middle of the road for me. I don't know. I didn't love that record. I did also just because I was like, man, it's like 10 years between like each of these records. So it's kind of weird. And I was like, well, what did All do in that time? So I listened to Pummel, which came out in 95. And really, that's who you should be. If you're doing the sandwich thing, you should listen to Pummel, Everything Sucks, and then Mass Nerder. Like that would be the actual sandwich to do, because it's the same band with just a different singer.
Right.
It's the same writers. Like they're all still writing the same songs. So it's just Milo's not there. And Milo's sometimes there. And that actually opens it up a little more. I didn't listen to Mass Nerder. I did listen to Pummel. That actually, sonically, the consistency is very much there. Like, oh, yeah, okay, here's where they are. You know, it makes a little more sense. That record has some shitty lyrics on it, too. God. Ugh. Every version of this band has shitty lyrics in it. But, like, all of the stuff I listened to by them, I think this might be the most strong front-to-back record.
This record starts off with a really good run of songs.
Oh, yeah. Really great run.
Like, first 7 songs. It's just like, lyrics aside, no problems.
Yeah.
Because everything's catchy. There's variety. You got, Coffee Mug is 30 seconds long, but it's
I love
instantly memorable.
I love that song.
Everything Sucks. I'm the One. I mean, those 2 songs are just super catchy and a lot of melodic. Coffee Mug, super memorable. Rotting Out. It has like that cool chuggy riff, and like Sick of Me is really strong. Cot's really strong. And When I Get Old is great. I love that song. Will I Still Hate the Cops? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
For all of the like icky lyrics, they also still have like really good pointed criticisms of how capitalism grinds people down.
Yeah.
And that there is some rebellion in just being immature and refusing to, participate in what society expects you to do, for the sake of being contributing to society. And like, it's a really strong run of songs. It doesn't really drop in tempo. It's just like bam, 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 memorable, catchy, cool riffs, fast. I think the back half drops in quality a lot, maybe even.
Yeah, I feel like Doghouse, that's where you hit it where you're like, okay. That one felt like an old song. Like, it felt like it was a hardcore song era, which makes sense because it's, the 2 guys from that period, playing on the song.
She Loves Me is good.
I think She Loves Me is good. It's a fun song. I'd say it's like as good as like something like Caught, I don't really like Hateful Notebook.
I don't either. And it brings up that ick of like, what are you saying? Well, like, what are you singing about? I'm like, who is this woman that he's referring to? What is her hateful notebook? Inside, she writes a side of herself that she won't let me see. Such a hateful little girl. Her little book is her whole world. I'm like, are you talking about a woman writing in a diary?
And I can't help but wonder what chapter I fit under. I'm a Stone Age male, and that's a fact. There's so much more to me than that. Yeah, it's a little like, you just assumed it. Who wrote that one? Is that
It is lyrics by Carl and Bill.
Yeah, okay. Carl, what are we doing? What are we doing, bud? Carl, you all right? Yeah, I like We. I think We is a good turn. I think it's actually, We might be one of the stronger on the back half songs. I hate Eunuch Boy. It's like, oh, cool. So it's a song it's one of the first songs Milo ever wrote, because apparently like back then he said like Tony or Frank like told him like, you need to start writing some songs, which means everybody else was writing the songs except for Milo. And they're like, write something, Milo. And then he's like, this is the first thing he wrote was Eunuch Boy. And they didn't record it then, so I don't know why they thought they needed to record it in 1996. I don't know if it was just because they brought in Tony and Frank to play.
Yeah, it was probably just like, for old time's sake, let's do that first song I wrote. It's terrible. They probably even think it's terrible.
They might, yeah.
It's 20 seconds long.
Yeah.
But it's just long enough to be like, why is this here? It sucks.
But I think the final 3 tracks, This Place, I Won't Let Me, and Thank You, they're all pretty solid. Actually, I think Thank You is actually a really good song and a really good album closer, despite the fact there's a hidden track there. I guess the problem with the back half is like I think even the good songs on the back side are nowhere near as good as the songs on the front side of the album or the front half.
Yeah, I Won't Let Me, Thank You are good songs. Thank You is a strong ender, other than the empty space and the instrumental.
Yeah,
at the end of it. I guess the backside of the record, it just gets more hit or miss, and like the peaks aren't as high.
Yeah. I just think the front half is just so strong that it carries a lot of the back half, the weaker elements of the back half. And I don't even, as much as I hate Eunuch Boy, I don't think it's even close to the worst song that they have, on all their other records. Like there are so many, it's so short that I'm not even like that mad at it really. Because it's like, man, you have so many worse songs on every other record that are a lot longer too. So yeah, to me, like that's why I think it's the strongest overall front to back, because they're not a perfect band. In my memory too, like I didn't re-listen to it, but Hypercapnium Spasmate, like I remember not even liking that album at all when it came out. And I think I read like an interview or something where they were interviewing Bill, and it was like, yeah, it's a really dark album for me. I was like, that's not what people listen to the Descendents for. Is for the darkness, Like I get it, you're writing about what matters to you, but it's just like I don't know. It was like the big comeback record, and to me, I was just like, this is what we waited for. But then it did Walnut, was it Ninth and Walnut or whatever that's called, and I like that a lot actually.
I remember listening to it and thinking it was decent.
It's like made up of like a bunch of different recording sessions from like the 80s to the 2000s, so it's like literally from every period of the band. But I do like that one a lot. I just think that the highs on this record are just so high. Like they're really strong. To me, it really works and makes the album a much more consistent listen from front to back. And I know for a fact there are people out there that like this is their favorite Descendents record. Like I feel like I've said that with multiple people I've talked to about. Yeah.
I can see that. I don't know. This is definitely not a no skips record for me.
I don't think they have any.
But yeah, that's true. Maybe I need to look at the track listing of Milo Goes to College. It's been a while since I've listened to that record, so
yeah.
I would have to listen to that one to see. I guess I feel like with that record, with it being the first record and them it being so early in their career, and honestly them just being kind of, really young, I can live with the ickier lyrics there a little more comfortably, because they do feel just more like teen nerd kind of. And it's like by 1996, it's like, one of you is a doctor. I feel like you should be smarter than this. and I'm looking at this through the lens of today, and but I also, I don't know, I go back and forth. If it was harder to understand what they were singing while they were singing, they'd be a lot easier to listen to, I guess is ultimately where I land. And then also it's like the Ergs just like carbon copied the Descendents. It's just like note for note, word for word. And it's like, and I listen to the Ergs a lot too, and a lot of that stuff hasn't aged well.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh wow, we really fully just copy pasted this band onto another band. Why are nerds like this?
Yeah,
women are attracted to nerds. Like smart guy with the unkempt hair, like the sexy professor type. That's a thing. Like you gotta find the right ones.
Yeah, well, it's a case of there's like that stereotypical joke about like, yeah, you nerds, you don't even get laid. I was like, no, nerds have freaky sex. Like,
Yeah.
nerds fuck in ways that the rest of us are like, eee. I am not down for that. No, that's like always a funny. Whenever that's always like, oh, you virgin in your mom's basement. I was like, not a virgin.
Yeah, it's just the nerd rock guys are always like. I was thinking about this. Because I was listening to Lincoln by They Might Be Giants recently, and I was thinking like, I wish nerd rock was more like this. Just playing an accordion and singing about, I don't even know, like rock paper scissors or whatever They Might Be Giants songs are about. A shoehorn with teeth. But at the same time, like, Lincoln has Anna Ing, and it's like, oh, damn it. It's a song about a guy being in love with a woman he's never met, who's also Asian. It's like, damn it. It just sounds like a Weezer song.
Yeah. It is a lyrical archetype. And I don't know how much of it is just like bands just kind of playing into that archetype. Or like, well, we write songs about being losers and can't get girls. And I mean, I guess a lot of it's more internalized than that, but
yeah. It's the revenge of the nerds.
Yeah.
Well, it's Elvis Costello. Maybe it's the neurotic.
So maybe the problem is nerd musicians, not so much just the nerds themselves.
Yeah. They spend all their time practicing music.
The record gets mixed reviews. Actually, they're not great reviews during the time period. Like, AllMusic gave it like a 3 out of 5. Entertainment Weekly gave it a C. Robert Christgau gave it a neither, which is like the only time I've ever seen him like not give a letter grade to a record. I've seen him give like all the other grades, but I think a neither means like it's not good, it's not bad, it's just there. Rolling Stone bio in 2004 said that this album was unforgivable. Just like a lot of really negative reviews at the time. And I don't know why that's the case, because to me, it's not that different from anything else they'd ever done. Like, it wasn't drastically different. If anything, it has like really good production value, and I think the songwriting is tighter across the board. So I don't know exactly what it is that people were hoping for. I don't know. I guess we have the hindsight of like this version of the band, which is essentially all, it's Stefan and Carl and Bill. Whereas I guess in 2004, if you weren't, or in 96, if you were not listening to all, you don't have that like love for this lineup because they only had one record. I don't know what people really wanted. I guess people wanted the first 2 records again, which you weren't going to get. I don't think. They made videos for I'm the One and When I Get Old. They were released as singles. This album hit number 132 on the Billboard 200 and number 4 on the Heat Seekers chart. So it was the first time the band had ever charted. And then they followed the album with tours with the Swingin' Utters, the Bouncing Souls, the Suicide Machines, Shades Apart, Guttermouth, Less Than Jake, Handsome, Electric Frankenstein, Social Distortion, Pennywise, H2O. Not all the same tour, obviously, but various tours throughout the next couple of years. And then they would go on another very large break until 2004, where they released Cold to Be You, and then Hypercapnium Spasmate in 2016, and then Ninth and Walnut in 2021. And they're a festival band now, it feels like, at this point. I mean, they did some touring, I think, around the records, but they are fully a legacy act, I think, at this stage.
I don't know. I don't know if I would say they're fully a legacy act. I mean, that's what they should be. Like, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if 2 years from now they had another album come out.
So do you think they've broken the long gaps between albums? I mean, as of this point, we're 8 years away from Hypercapnium Spasmate.
Yeah, which that came out 12 years after Cool to Be You.
Yeah, that was their longest gap, yeah.
Ninth and Walnut, I mean, it's pre-existing material.
Yeah, that one's more of a, hey, we finally finished it type record than
yeah.
To me, it's not a true. I mean, it is in the sense that all those songs are brand new and no one ever heard them before. But yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same as like a full studio album from them. So if they wait another 2 years, it'll be another 10 years between records. I don't know. We'll see. Milo had that heart attack, so I don't know what's going to change for them when it comes to that stuff. What was the last All record?
2000.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like all was like this is our band between Descendants, and then like they just kind of also stopped too. I mean, I guess age and families and all that kind of stuff gets in the way, but yeah, that seems like a really long time for another all record.
I mean, what's Bill doing? Engineering, producing?
Was Bill in Off? Who's the drummer of Off?
Oh yeah, he probably did play drums for Off.
Is it him? I mean, it may not be him. I think he was in Flag for sure.
Oh no. Off was Mario. It was Mario Rubalcaba,
Okay.
and then Justin Brown.
I think Bill was in Flag though.
Yeah,
I don't know what Bill does.
Bill did the engineering for Half album, No Effects, from this year.
Right, that's right. Because Bill and Stefan have the Blasting Room, right?
Yeah, so
Is it
he's
both of them?
produced. Well, Stefan lives in. Does Stefan live in Tulsa now?
I think so. I think that's why there's all the. That's where Chad lives, I think, and I think
Yeah.
that's where like the other guys like. There's like a Descendants wing in Oklahoma too.
Stefan does some mastering off and
Okay.
on. It looks like, and has done some.
The Blasting Room is Bill and Jason Livermore.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bill and Stefan have done production work in
Mhm.
the intervening time.
I mean, I feel like that's the kind of thing you do whenever you're like, well, I guess my band's done. I guess I'll be a producer.
Figured out
See.
how to record everything.
Yeah. Which the Blasting Room sound is really good. It's a very clean sound. They recorded this at the Blasting Room. It's very like clean and tight sound. And Milo is still a biochemist, so that kind of gets in the way.
Yeah, I wonder what he's worked on. What are
Yeah.
his accomplishments as a biochemist?
I have no idea. I don't even know what like his field is in.
Plant molecular biologist at DuPont is what he has done. That was in 2014. Milo Ackerman, DuPont, IMDb, or LinkedIn, not IMDb. There was.
Oh, apparently in 2016 he quit researching to do music full time.
Huh.
Has Descendants been a full time band since 2016? I feel like that's not the case. I feel like they took really long gaps, but maybe I'm wrong.
Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like I said, I think it's their most consistent album front to back, and I can see why it's many people's favorite album as well.
yeah, I think it's a good record. I despite its flaws. I mean, there's 3 big skips on here.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the par for Descendants records. Like, there's going to be 3 songs that just suck, at least.
Yeah, it's a weird tradition that they kind of upheld throughout their career. Yeah, skip that one. That's a skip. It's like the Mitchell and Webb sketch. It's like, do we have to make any skips? Like, or misses? That's what it was.
Do we have to have a miss? It's a good show. You gotta have misses.
So the Descendants album, you gotta have skips.
Which is probably why I've had a negative trending attitude towards the Descendants over the last decade, of it just being hard for me to feel that excited about a band that I want to skip so many songs on their records, despite how good the other songs are. Like, so many incredible songs by the Descendants. It's such a wide swing of quality that is unusual for a band.
It is a wide, yeah, it is. It's a wide span of high and low within the same record on every single record. One whole record. Ugh. God, Enjoy is so bad. I can't believe they thought that was fine to do that record. Though I listened to, what record did I listen to? Is there like a fart joke on Cool to Be You? Yeah, Blast Off. Blast Off has a fart joke in the middle of the fucking record. Like, you guys didn't grow up. I mean, I get it. Farts are funny. Farts are funny in your everyday life. I don't think they're funny in art. I don't know.
It's funny. Farts are funny.
Mhm.
Farts are hilarious, actually. But anyone can make a fart joke,
That's true.
and it be really funny.
Well, what would you rate this album?
I'd give it like a 3.5.
I'm going a solid 4. I think it's
Wow.
a good 4.0. Yeah. I always say I don't want to grow up to my favorite album by them, But there's a bunch of stuff on that record I just don't like. I just love the B-side so much of that record. If we're being 100% honest, Breaking Things might be the best front to back record in the whole discography. But
Right. Yeah. If we're counting All and Descendants, Breaking Things is their best record.
yeah,
But if it's just Descendants, if Milo is a quintessential element of the
Right.
band.
and I think he is. He has a really good, unique voice. And we didn't really talk about any of like everything about this band is unique. You have Bill, one of the best hardcore drummers of the 80s, and you have Carl with it's like that kind of bass I don't love, but I like how he plays it kind of thing. Like I hate that kind of like mwah, 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 that real soft bass tone, but he plays it so well. And then Stefan's like unique, one of a kind guitar playing. Like everything about this band is like super unique in every part of it. And if other bands do it, I'm like, I don't know if I like that, but yeah. Well, all right, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Give us a like on YouTube and give us some star ratings on Apple and Spotify. Smash that like button. How do you do these? What do they call call to actions on YouTube? I need to learn how to do some of these, but we're on all social media at punklautopod, punklautopod@gmail.com, and our voicemail line 202-688-PUNK. And that will do it for us this week. Thank you all so much, and we will talk to you next time.
To order Punk, call the number on your screen. Rush delivery is available. Remember, this special offer is not sold in stores.